We have Rauiri Gough. Rauiri is the co-founder and CEO of Paytient Payments. Where did the seeds for payments came in? Was it during that time? Do you identify that people were asking for online payments?
Some of the dentists were coming to us saying, look, we were looking at Stripe and PayPal and these other payment companies. Now that we have a website, tell us about that or help us to understand how digital payments can play a part in that business.
Welcome, everyone, to another new episode of the 4D podcast. Today, we have with us very special guests from this side of the pond where we live, which is Ireland. We have Rauiri Gough. Rauiri is the co-founder and CEO of Paytient Payments. He's also the co-founder of Get Paid and also the co-founder of Dental Marketing Ireland and few other startups that he has been part of. So he's a serial entrepreneur in dental industry for the last 2 decades. He comes from Ireland and a very good and dear friend of mine. I've known Rauiri for the last, I think, 3 years now. And coming from the same industry, he's a good friend of mine. So Rauiri, welcome to the 4D podcast show.
Thank you, Nip. I'm delighted to be here. And thanks for having me as a guest.
So Rauiri, I think there's a lot of experience that you have had in the dental side of things that we will unpack as we go along with this podcast. So the theme of the podcast is kind of to get into the digital side of things. And because you come from the financial payment side of dentistry, so we'll get into that. But before we dive into your company, your experience, kind of what exactly you're doing today, but maybe we start and give a background about yourself, your journey to date, and how did you end up with Paytient Payments, which is your current baby today?
Yes. Okay. So my experience and background in the dental industry goes back about 15 years now, back to 2010, after the recession times. And I suppose I'll tell you a little story. I was actually out of work and I was looking for an opportunity. And a good friend of mine owns a dental clinic or a dental lab in Dublin, and was looking for somebody to go out and, introduce the dental lab into dental clinics around Ireland. So while I was undertaking that role, I spotted an opportunity to provide marketing services to dentists in Ireland and further abroad. So an interesting industry statistic I give people is that at the time, less than 10% of people, clinics had websites. So I noticed a huge opportunity there to help a lot of the dental clinics around Ireland to get online, and that was the genesis of the kind of seed of the company and the business, which today is now Dental Marketing Ireland. So that was my initial foray into the dental industry. Yes.
That's great, and I think if you go into that, so your experience, you studied management and marketing in Dublin, so that was initial. Like, how did you end up with, where did you identify that marketing was were the dentists asking you for the website, or was that something that, kind of you were pitching to them? How did it end up being marketing?
Yeah. So I suppose previous to that, I was involved in sales and marketing in different businesses, and I had seen a trend in the PAYE roles I was in with businesses getting online, and there was more focus on their website presence and their digital marketing and social media. So I suppose in my own head, I knew that there would be a stage where these clinics would come online and would like to improve their presence. So I suppose at the time, I very much put the idea in the heads of the dentists and the clinics and said, look, you guys need to put websites online. And when I was working for the dental lab, I was Googling dental clinics in Dublin and I couldn't find any, which, was nonsense because we both know that there was hundreds. And I suppose some of the early adopters, let's call them that, immediately saw the benefit of having a website. And with the first 5 to 10 clinics that we got on board in the first year or two, once the other guys saw these guys with websites, they quickly adopted them. So our business grew quite fast over the first 3 to 5 years. So that was the start of the dental journey. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I think that was pre the era of online booking and anything when it comes
Absolutely.
to clinics, right? They were still not taking online bookings, right?
Yeah, so all of that was, that was only in the last kind of 5 or 6 years. So it was really a case of showing patients, getting patients to trust and learn and know about the dental clinics and the team and the staff that were in there, and to kind of move them away from being nervous about the dentist and show them, I suppose, what to expect when they're going into a dental clinic. So, I mean, in the UK and the US, where we also have clients, they're a bit further ahead along from us, and they've been putting themselves online and having websites for years, and it was a natural trend that Irish clinics would come online too, and it did help them to kind of, I always say it kind of, dentistry uncovered a little bit, dental clinics uncovered a little bit in Ireland when they started putting pictures and videos and websites online. As you said there, in terms of the online appointment booking and other online services, they've only really come about in the last 5 to 7 years.
Nice, nice, nice. And you brought that learning from overseas kind of back to Ireland as well, which not many dentists would have got the experience for, right? What's happening in US or UK?
Exactly, and I suppose it's one of the things that's the benefit of the internet and the global economy that we live and work in now, is that it's very easy to Google something and see what's happening in the UK and the US. They're usually the market leaders when it comes to innovative digital services and products. And as I said, it's only a period of time before those services and products come into Ireland.
Brilliant. No, great. So you were still, had your marketing firm, Dental Marketing Ireland, sorry,
Yes,
and
no problem.
you were. So where did the seeds for payments came in? Was it during that time? Do you identify that people were asking for online payments? Like, how did that seed, that I think the patient payments seeded
Yeah,
into this
yeah.
whole marketing side of things?
So similarly to my experience back in 2010, um, it, it, but by 2017, we probably brought about 50 to 60 dentists online and got their website presence up and established. And around that time, then there was talk about Stripe, the very successful Irish company, and a lot more companies were looking for the efficiencies of digital payments. So we also had situations where dentists were starting to ask us, and I always think, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, that you're very much led by your customers and your clients. So some of the dentists were coming to us saying, look, we were looking at Stripe and PayPal and these other payment companies. Now that we have a website, tell us about that, or help us to understand how digital payments can play a part in that business. So in 2017, 18, that was kind of where the idea really was confirmed in my head. And I was like, hey, I've got to start looking at this a bit more seriously and adding it as an additional service initially to our dental marketing business.
Brilliant. So it was still an offshoot of your previous venture and not a separate entity yet.
Yeah, yes, and I suppose the thing about it is when you have a business in a niche or a one vertical, when you've got an established business, it makes it easier then to introduce new products and services and maybe test them in the market before you go full on into creating a separate company and business and putting your time and effort into it. So that's the way the business initially found its roots.
Brilliant, great. And what was happening? I know that. So what you mentioned was that those 50 to 100 odd dentists, like they were asking for better payment solutions, or some payment integrations on their website. So they're already taking the first step towards digital readiness in terms of having a website, and then payments came in as the next step, like where they were asking you for that. So apart from that, what you were looking at UK and US as markets as well, that they were much more sophisticated. So those kind of regions had existing players who are providing bespoke payment solutions. So why a bespoke payment solution for dentistry?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think the US and UK, and I shouldn't really put them together because they're very much different markets. And the US is ahead of us on so many things. As I said, Stripe was starting to come into general industry, and I suppose the UK very much in my opinion, led the dental industry market in terms of payments. So, I mean, one of the products that's been there in a manual or paper-based format has been like dental membership plans. So that is digital payments in a broader sense, which has been in the UK for 30 or 40 years. But people were looking at ways to digitize that process. And also around the same time, we were just coming out of recession as a global economy. And there was an issue I was hearing from the dentists in terms of people breaking their appointments or not honoring their appointments. And they were looking at all the costs of their business, and they were saying there was hours in our day where patients weren't showing up, but they still had all their overheads and costs. So initially they were saying to us, is there any way that you could use digital payments to confirm appointments from patients, to take money off them, not take money off them, but to hold money so that if they didn't show up, we could charge them. So initially the way that was working was that people would take card details. So it was much easier 7 years ago to take card details over the phone, hold them, and then charge them subsequently if people didn't show up. So that was the start of it. And Stripe was kind of there, PayPal was there, Go Cardless was there. So like the thing about the payments industry is there's 5,000 companies doing payments. You know, it's a bit like wearing shoes. You can get 5,000 different pairs of shoes. But where we spotted the opportunity was, by that stage, we'd been working with dental clinics for 6 or 7 years, and we had a fairly good understanding of their business fundamentals. We'd worked with their staff and their teams, and we saw how busy it was at their front desks when they were trying to deal with patient records, talk to patients, and maybe deal with aftercare issues. So we'd had all that unique industry experience, and personally, I felt that the likes of Stripe and PayPal and Go Cardless weren't looking after the clinics maybe, and weren't creating custom or bespoke solutions for them. And that was where I said, well, look, we can use the learnings that they and the processes and systems that those guys have, but develop something bespoke and custom for the dental industry. And that was what we did.
Brilliant. And so walk us through what all products do you have within patient payments, right? So, and how is it different from what the clinics are not used to, which is a generic, this is the bespoke one that they haven't seen.
Yes. So, bringing you back to the start of the business, a lot of fintech or financial services businesses go out and they try and get regulated and authorized by their local central bank. So for us, that would be the Central Bank of Ireland, or the Central Bank of Europe, or whatever. Now, that's a long and arduous process. It costs a lot of money and time and effort. And as a startup, we didn't have time to get involved in that process. I mean, you've seen yourself the process that Revolut have gone through over the last couple of years, and they're a massive company with thousands of employees. So what we did was we actually partnered up with an Irish and UK-based fintech, another payments company, and we started out with a service that people knew and understood, which is electronic direct debits. So direct debits, everybody knows them. We pay our bills, utility bills, phone bills by direct debit. And what that actually involves is you giving your financial information and approving your financial information to the service provider, and then every month they go to your bank through a payment plan, and they take the money that they're due for their utility bill or whatever the case may be. So we partnered up with an Irish company, we got that technology, and then we built our platform around that. So we launched 5 years ago now with, and again, knowledge and experience and things and processes and systems that people are used to work really well. So we approached orthodontic clinics initially, and they were already using standing orders for orthodontic payment plans. So for people who don't understand, I think we all have kids, or hopefully have kids in treatment. But in the main, people are looking for aligners or traditional orthodontics for their children, or adults can get them too. And the treatment takes place over a 6 months to a 2-year period, and it generally costs around 2,500 to 4,000 euros, and people then pay that monthly over time in line with the treatment plan. So we launched with that product 5 years ago, and we got really good traction initially. So we were able to switch over the clinics from standing order mechanisms over to direct debit, and that was the first product that we launched in the market. And that's worked out really well for the clinics, and it's worked out really well for ourselves. That grew over time, and we're grateful to be working with 50, 60 clinics at this point and processing millions of euros and pounds every year, which is phenomenal. But I suppose people very quickly forget, when you start out with the first 2 or 3 clinics in the first year and you're doing like 10,000 euros in payments and you think you're great, but there's a long way to go. So that was the first product, and that was the financial services that we embraced initially.
Brilliant. So from there on, that was the first product. How have you grown, and what does patient payments has today in terms of its portfolio? So you mentioned about the membership plans. Is that something
Yes.
that's in the roadmap, or you already have that membership plans as well?
Yeah. So going back to the financial mechanism that we were using for our orthodontic payment plans, in the UK, dental membership plans have been around for 30, 40 years. I'm not going to name the competitors, you shouldn't do that, but there's a few other competitors in the market. But we spotted an opportunity with our platform and technology whereby we could automate the full process. So we were very lucky to onboard what's called a DSO, so a dental service organization or a dental group in the UK, towards the end of last year. And they asked us if there's any way that they could take some of the manual process out of signing up patients for dental membership plans. So before I go down and explain that, let me explain what a dental membership plan is. So in Ireland, most people have PRSI benefits, and you can get a dental exam and a hygienist visit once a year. In the UK, the same benefits apply through the NHS, but there seems to be an underserving of the market. There's not enough dentists to go around in the UK. So what what the industry has put in place is a membership plan, much like a gym membership plan. So you become a member of a dental clinic, and you might pay between, say, 10 and 25 pounds per month. And for that money, then you get 2 exams a year, 2 cleans a year, and a range of other ancillary benefits like 10% off cosmetic treatments, crowns, bridge, and then other benefits for that clinic. So from the clinic side of things, it works really well because it helps the patients to be loyal, and also over time, more money is spent by those patients in the clinic. So it's a win-win from the clinic. From the patient's point of view, they have direct access into the clinics, they get preferential appointments, they get discounts on treatments, and they get peace of mind in that they're a member or they can go into their local clinic. We have launched dental membership plans last year. We're very proud of the fact that one of the DSOs that we got on board, we brought on nearly 1,000 patients for them in a period of months. And the way that we did that was by automating the sign-up process. So we put a link onto the group clinic website, and patients then can go in. They go through a 3-step process, putting in their contact information, picking their plan and their payment information. And then we're very fortunate in that our payments partner is a leader in open banking. So I won't bring it, there's not enough time in this podcast to explain open banking, but what we actually do is we use authenticated mandates, which in a basic explanation is when people sign up, they are brought into their online banking app on their phone, they pick their bank, they authorize the direct debit setup, and then everything just moves forward from there. So what this does is it reduces the risk and the fraud around payment setups. So people are using the bank details that are their own. But but that whole process takes place in under 60 seconds. So that was the key, and the DSOs were very happy, obviously, with 1,000 patients signing up, and even to this day, we've got huge cadence every month on that. So that was a next generation product, and it's the second product in our suite that we plan to launch over the next 2 to 3 years. So the ortho payment plans sit really well, and now the dental membership plans is our product 2, and we have product 3, 4, and 5, which will be launched in the next year or 2.
Brilliant. And how does the landscape looks like today? So that the DSO that you were talking about, have all the other DSOs moved away from standing orders to direct debits and now to this membership plan, which is automated in a way that you're talking about? Or are still DSOs still doing old fashioned way of things? But dental men, like that's UK, but also Ireland. I think if you can speak from both sides of the pond as well.
Yeah. So I mean, in all industries and all markets, you have what's called early adopters. So you have DSOs and clinics that come on board really early in play and get your business case, and they're willing to try new things. Some of the other groups of clinics that we're seeing, they're still stuck a little bit in the past with standing orders and manual processes. And I think that they haven't actually sat down and ran the numbers in terms of looking at all the staff and all the admin and all of the delays that are involved in that process. So I would say there's still a huge opportunity for us in the UK and Irish markets where we can automate these processes, make them digital, reduce the amount of manpower and staff hours involved, and obviously increase the speed which they do their admin and reconciliation. And again, the UK market, they've had dental membership plans for many years to come. One thing which us people involved in the industry know probably, I suppose, what's happening at the moment, but we've actually seen a trend whereby dental membership plans have been launched in Ireland in the last couple of weeks by a UK entity which owns Irish clinics. So they're obviously testing the market over here. And I suppose you heard it here first that you might see dental membership plans rolled out across Ireland in the next 6 months to a year by a lot more clinics.
And why did it take so much of time to get launched in Ireland? It's just because our healthcare system was slightly different. You mentioned about the PRSI and other things, and I think there's a free checkup that's part of if you're making PRSI payments. I think a free clinic and a free checkup is included every year, and that's not available for the NHS system in the UK. Is that, or you said that the ratio of dentist to patient is skewed, like it doesn't, you can't serve all the patients. That's why they
So as you said there, I mean, most people, and actually, would you believe, you talk about PRSI, a lot of people actually don't know that PRSI benefits are available to them as an employee, and there's a lot of people that don't actually use them every year, which I'm amazed about. But the last thing you said there was actually the right thing, in that we actually are facing a situation in Ireland now because of population growth, whereby we actually have fewer dentists than can serve the patients. So it's a really simple concept of supply and demand. So going back to what I was saying earlier about patients in the UK, they love to know that, this is my dentist. I have access in here. It's all about access. I have access into the clinic when I want it, and my long-term oral health will be taken care of. So I think that's been the driver for dental membership plans to be launched in Ireland.
Brilliant. Good. And so when you work with these DSOs and individual clinics, how do you ensure customer success for them? So there's a training involved from your side where you train those, the staff members. Who is involved in the decision making, or in terms of training and actual users might be different from the decision maker in the company as well. And how do you train them so they can train their patients what to do if they don't find that link on the website, for example?
So, I mean, going back to the genesis and the idea to start this payments business for dental clinics, we wanted to do things differently than the large guys, than Stripe, the PayPals of this world. So also working with staff and teams in clinics for many years, we realized that we needed to take a different approach to the education, training, and ongoing support that we provided. So we even actually put it in our terms and conditions of business, same day clinic support by phone and email. So we stand over that. It's like one of these money back guarantees. So that's the first thing we do. But I suppose with a technology business and with a platform as we have, we're adding more and more clinics, which means we want to be able to provide them with the same level of support as the business grows. So we're using a combination of video. So we use Loom, which is a product maybe some people are familiar with. So we've recorded a whole load of videos for the patients in the clinics that are stored within their account, and they can view and they can watch at any time. And we find this a really good way to educate, say, new joiners for dental clinics, and to remind existing staff how to use our products. But also then when we launch new products, we add new videos to the suite so that they can quickly, it's a quick way of sharing information across the organization and across our growing clinics. The other thing we do is we also have within that support page that we have downloadable documents. So some people prefer to digest information through Word, through documents, apart from videos. And also then we've got a really substantial Q&A. So anything that's not covered in the videos and documents is covered then in the Q&A. So we understand as digital innovators that if people don't understand our products and don't know how to use them, that our services have actually fallen down. So we do everything in our power to make sure that the clinic and the patient understand the process, and we hold their hands through the onboarding. For example, only yesterday we added a new clinic out in North Dublin. I was out with the practice manager and team yesterday, walking them through the first patient signups and showing them how to use the software. And what we found is that once we do that hand-holding process the first time, with the majority of clinics, we're not able to go to them personally and in person. We do it over video. But once we do that hand-holding process for the first 5 to 10 patients, they just fly. They just carry on, and then we see like 50s and hundreds and a lot more patients joining. So we're trying to use all the tools that are at our disposal, but we don't want to lose the personal touch, which has been the keystone of the success of our businesses in the dental industry over the last 15 years. But in terms of you mentioned about the trends, obviously the trends across dental and lots of other businesses is that everything should be digital and you should be talking to people through headsets and video as we're doing now. But I think people lose perspective on the personal touch. We're all human beings, and I think that goes a long way to the longevity and the partnership that we like to advocate with our payments business with clinics.
And I think that because that's an interesting topic, because yesterday I think Amazon told that they want all the employees back to the offices. They don't want anyone to be working remotely from next year onwards. And I think that's a reverse trend from kind of virtual offices to in-person, back to the normal kind of pre-COVID side of things. And then the reason why I'm asking that is that, have you seen that, like, how has the digital adoption been when it comes to dentistry? Obviously it's better than what it was pre-COVID, because it's a different industry altogether, because you're talking to dentists and their staff. They're always busy in surgeries. They don't have time to learn new digital. It's not that they don't want to, but they don't have time during the weekdays. And it's not unlike us, which we are in front of our laptops all day. They are in the surgery with the patient. So how has the digital adoption been in your kind of experience, kind of learning new tools, new techniques, maybe fintech, maybe other areas? Have you seen, because you have been in this industry for, kind of nearly 15 to 20 years now, have you seen an upward moving graph towards adoption, or are we still in the early adoption phase of basics, on the digital side of things?
Again, leaning on my experience, like dentistry has always been in the forefront of digital innovation. You only have to look at, if people remember getting little X-ray bite wings put in their mouths when an X-ray was getting taken. Now, when you go into a practice, they've got large scanners that actually scan your whole head, jaws, gums, the whole lot, which is amazing to see. So, like, that's just one example, but that digitization is happening across the board. As a dental nerd, I call myself, there's another machine called a CEREC machine, whereby previously, when you were getting a crown in your mouth, they had to do up the work, and they had to send it out to the dental lab, and the dental lab might send a crown back in a week or two. All of that is gone. What's happening now is they have a block of porcelain in the practice, and they're actually able to mill the crown there and then and put it in your mouth a half an hour later, so you can walk out of the clinic in an hour. So going back to dental has always been an exciting and an innovative place in terms of digital. Some of the services which have caught up now and kept pace with that is online appointment booking, is digital payments, is digital aligners, digital smile design. All of these things are coming, and I think dental is an exciting place to be, and it's a place where all of these innovations are tried and tested, and because they want to embrace them. Going back to what you said, I've probably been in about 300 to 400 dental clinics in my last 10 or 15 years of existence, and you see everything from, one dentist, one support nurse or practice manager to, full teams of like 20, 25, 30 staff. So there's very much a variety, but in all cases, and I've seen the trend in the last 4 to 5 years where they're trying to embrace every digital innovation that they can, because they realize that the more things that they outsource is the more time then they can spend with the patients in their mouths, treating them, looking after their oral care, selling, crowns and bridge and orthodontics and all those kind of services. So there's an absolutely a huge uptrend and uptick in digital services across the industry. I can certainly confirm that. Would you agree?
No, I agree, and I think that that's it. When it comes to the hardware side of things, right? The scanners, the printers, the millers, the CBT CT scans or the new
Yes.
X-rays, or I think there has been a lot of innovation. And whenever we talk about technology, you talk about those standalone units, the scans, and the everything. But I think you touched on that. When it comes to the software side of things, which is on the the appointment booking, digital readiness, taken for the sake of a kind of example, the PMS systems that they use, a lot of the major players are still not cloud based. Now that's not to do with dentists per se, but a lot of them, like I think you have software of excellence, right? They are moving away from the cloud server base, which is like, think of it, as a dentist. If my wife is a dentist, so I know that when you're traveling, like, not all the time she has access to her calendar. Now, just imagine Monday morning, if you're walking to your office and you don't know whom you're meeting, and you have to check in with your reception what your meetings are for the day. It's a pretty uncertain scenario when you want to get ready for your day. So a
Yes.
lot of clinics and dentists that I know are where they don't have access to information, cases, appointments, patients information. And again, that example of the patient management or the practice management system, that's an example of how slow the industry had been. It's still like dentally is cloud based, but software of excellence is
Yes.
still not cloud based. And I think that's one example, but there are a few others as well where we see that at least in the software side there is a lag, and they're catching up now. But as compared to other industries, there has been less
Yeah, and just
investment.
to be fair, there's a good reason for that, because you've got to remember, with healthcare, you're dealing with people's most private personal information, and
Yeah.
we've seen it. It's funny, people will actually trust us more with digital payments and money than they will with patient information. So if you look at, we've worked with dentists in America in the past, and I think it's HIPAA, or, they're very controlling and specific around patient information because, sorry, for various reasons. But that information is kept in a practice management software within the practice. And the reason that it's server based is because it's then siloed within that practice, and it can't be hacked, or it can't be, hijacked from outside. So I think that's been part of the reservation and the slowness behind the industry going to cloud-based software. Now, you mentioned dentally, but another trend in the last, 5 to 10 years has been that people realize the benefits of having, although there is risks, there's also benefits to having cloud-based practice management software. So not least, you mentioned the dentist knowing who he's going to see, or he or she is going to see in the chair, but there's also then checking and sharing of dental records between referral practices. And there's various other benefits then as well. So dentally is one. There's probably 100 other cloud-based practice management software systems that are used. And again, we talk about trends. There's consolidation going on in the industry. So there's an awful lot of groups, DSOs and chains, who are buying up dental clinics and amalgamating them together. And the reason they do it is for, savings on costs, buying across a group, and also then dentists and resources can be shared. But cloud-based practice management software allows them then to share that patient information across clinics. So if you're in Dublin and you're in Galway on your holidays and you have a dental problem, that group might have a clinic in Galway which you can also go to and get treated, and your patient record and information is there when you walk in the door. So that's a huge benefit of digital innovation. But from our own perspective, it's funny because Dentally was the first practice management software that we integrated with. So if you think of a situation whereby a patient is set up on a payment plan in a clinic using our software, we can't put that information into a patient record. But with Dentally, we can actually do that, because Dentally have what's called APIs. Now, we won't get technical here, but an API is like a plug, and we have a plug, and we're able to plug our system into Dentally. And any forward-thinking practice management software has what's called APIs, so we can connect to them. Now, there is time and cost and all that involved in doing that work, but the huge benefit for them in practice is that they don't have two systems which are independently functioning. they have them talking together. And that's a huge that's a huge saving in terms of cost and admin. So again, you're talking about trends, cloud-based software, practice management systems, and all of that is the way to go. And that's the way things are moving, in my opinion.
Brilliant. And any other trends that you're seeing, Rory, in dentistry, like apart from how things are, changing in terms of integration and cloud-based side of things, what other trends are you seeing in ortho or in general dentistry?
Yeah, and again, so one of the first products we started out was digital payments for orthodontics, and a big thing, most people probably have heard of digital aligners and Invisalign. So again, for the people who are not dental nerds, rather than having traditional metal train tracks on your teeth, a new 3D printing process takes place off-site in labs, but also in dental clinics, whereby your aligners or your braces are printed and they're sent to you, and then you would wear them over a time period, and they would straighten your teeth over, say, 6 months to 2 years, depending on how the severity of your alignment issues. So a big change has been that most of the dental clinics and orthodontists around the world are offering these aligner products. And the reason, I suppose, patients want them is because they're less invasive, they're less noticeable. If people are in kind of high-profile jobs or meetings and they don't want to have train tracks on their teeth, the alignment time, the process is quicker, and it's also cheaper. So there's huge benefits to that. So that would be the final trend, I suppose, that I would be seeing over the last 5 to 6 years. And people are still using our orthodontic payment plans to pay for them over time. But it's a huge growth area in the dental and orthodontic market that we're seeing.
Brilliant. No, great. And I think that's something that we are seeing as well. And there were some reports about the local manufacturers who are starting their own aligner brands. So going away from, the likes of the big brands, like local manufacturers are doing their own.
We won't mention the brands. We won't mention other brands, but I think people know who they are. Yes, yeah, of course.
Everyone knows. So Rory, I always thought, and I think I ask you that question. So again, we come from Ireland, right? That's where we are based. There are not many dental startups or companies who kind of export from. It's usually the UK companies come in and acquire, which is the chain of clinics or DSOs, and you'll always hear about some insurance company from UK coming in, rather than the reverse, where Irish companies start exporting in terms of dentistry specifically to the UK side of market. So, and I know that there are very few people, and we know some of them from a common kind of network as well. So how it had been, kind of way, like living in Ireland, starting a dental startup, and then kind of exporting to the UK where you are not a known brand. And how was the experience and that part of the journey where you started looking across that pond into the UK?
Yeah. So, I mean, you make a good point there. There's only a few of us. I love the dental industry, right? I'm involved in it for so long now. I always say it's small, but it's mighty, and it's great because at this point in my career, I know a lot of the suppliers from various trade shows or whatever, and we all have similar learnings. In terms of Ireland as a market, I think it's a great market to test a product, to be a startup, to try a new innovation. And the reason for that is that we're small enough that you can drive from one side of the country to the other in 3 hours. So if I have my services in Galway and there's an issue, I can be over there if I can't get it resolved over video or whatever the case may be. The other thing I would say is that the dental industry is fundamentally the same the world over. So going back to my dental marketing business, which we still work with dentists on a daily basis, is that we found it quite easy to sell dental marketing services in the UK, Germany, Japan, and also in the USA. So, once you're in, it's a bit like, it's a bit like the mafia, once you're in, you're in. So, I suppose what that helps us with then is kind of trust. So, we've lots of clients that we can use as reference points, and then that creates a trust, because a lot of the dentists, remember, all went to the same dental college and schools around Ireland. But even when you're trying to sell into the UK market, they know that you've done your research and that you've got a solid background in Ireland. So in terms of breaking into the UK, there's trade shows take place across London, Birmingham, Manchester, and various places that we visited. And I suppose leaning on our experience and our knowledge of dentistry and the software and the products, it's made it a little bit easier to get into the UK, and we were very fortunate that some of the DSOs, the forward thinkers and the innovators, came on board with our product and platform to date. We are talking with a whole lot more. You speak about our own personal relationship. So we were both at a trade show back in June in Spain, where there was a lot of DSOs in attendance, and we were pitching to them. So it's an ongoing process, but the fact that we're so established in dentistry really helps with that. What we hope then, I suppose, is that they innovate and they choose us over maybe other dental suppliers in the UK. But the strength and the thing that we have going for us is the fact that we've tried and tested our products in a smaller market, and therefore it's not like the first time that DSO in the UK will be using our product service, because we've already proved it and tested it. So that's a really good benefit. At the same time, I always say it's very hard to get off this rock. It's expensive, and the flight times aren't great. But again, we won't mention brands, but you can very easily connect to Manchester, Liverpool, London for not a lot of money. So it's easy to go visit this DSOs, convince them of your case in person, and then support them thereafter if they hopefully come on board as clients with you. So we're fortunate, but we're also we're at a bit of a disadvantage as well. But that's the world we live in, and that's the market we're trying to trade in.
No, and I think the virtual side of things has helped, and I think people don't mind kind of talking. But yes, eventually you meet them in trade shows or in person in their offices as well, and that's something I've observed as well, that people are comfortable talking to you, and that has become the expectation that the first few meetings will happen over Zoom or Google Meets. So I think that they're comfortable in that sense. And yeah, I think as you mentioned, trade shows are a good opportunity to meet everyone at one place, rather than you kind of shuttling through into their offices from London to different cities.
Exactly. And again, you did mention, you touched on COVID there. Like, COVID was a big inflection point for us, because obviously with the restrictions and people's health at stake, clinics were, really hungry. They were looking in the market for innovations where they didn't have to interact with patients, and they didn't want people coming into clinics unnecessarily. So that was actually a massive, things went from here to a kind of hockey stick for us, which was fantastic. But that may happen in the future. We don't know, but we can't work on the unpredictable and variables. But I do think we're very well placed to embrace as many digital technologies. The clinics are very well prepared for new technologies. So sorry, I'll finish with that.
No, brilliant. I think that's a good kind of wrap up on that. And I think last question, Rory, right? So
yeah,
I know that you wear multiple hats, and I was looking through your LinkedIn again in the morning, and I was saying that obviously you have been a serial entrepreneur. You have had a lot of sales and marketing roles, and you're busy. You are the most networked person I know in dentistry in Ireland, at least. So you're busy. That's what I want to say. So how does your day look like, right? There's work, there's life. There are 3 companies that you are doing, kind of promoting them as your because you're a co-founder. So how does a day in a life of Rory looks like?
Chaos, organized chaos. No, look. Here's the thing. I mean, I'm working for myself now, maybe 15 years, and I think as we know, businesses are hard to get up and running, to get clients on board, to keep them happy, and outside of that piece, there's so much involved in accountants and admin and all that, yada yada yada. But you've got to remember what your purpose is at the end of the day. So we're providing products or services to the benefit of the clinic and the benefit of the patients and all that good stuff. Okay, but I'm very conscious in the last 4 or 5 years that my life goes on outside of that. So I'm very fortunate to have my wife and my 3 kids who are everything to me. And I again, COVID was a good thing in that a lot more remote working hubs have been established around Ireland. So I work 5 minutes from where I live. So I feel that I have it all. I have a good personal life. I have, my business down in the Hatch Lab here in Gorey, and I'm able to fit everything in. So I think that the key here is that, we have a business that, it takes up all of our time and effort, within working hours. But I think outside of working hours, then social life and personal and family and all those things are just as important, if not more important. And I do think since COVID, people's perspective has certainly changed a lot about all those things. I think we all lost loved ones, and we all lost friends and families in that unfortunate period. But it's given people a direction and focus for their life, and to maybe put less emphasis on their business. I know we've got to put food on the table and earn money, but we also then have to, live our life and outside of our businesses. So I think you mentioned that earlier. We all have a baby, so I have 2 or 3 babies ongoing. But I'm very fortunate that I've got a team and co-founders. Even with the payments business, we've got guys in Dublin and Portugal that support the business. And we'll bring on, again, with work from home and kind of remote and flexible working opportunities, we're able to upsize and upscale our team when we need to. So, the clinics will always get the exemplary and the white glove service that they deserve and need. And then we're able to, work 9 to 5. And then outside of that, there's other people around the world that take care of our clinic support. And then we're able to enjoy our time with family and friends, which I think is the most important thing.
Brilliant. Great. Rory, I think thanks for the insights into the financial side of market. Thanks for the insights into patient payments and your journey, and kind of sharing the trends and the other things that you're seeing in the market, which will be helpful for everyone who might listen to this podcast. So yeah, I think thank you for your time. I know you are usually very busy, so I think thanks for sharing all the insights and being on this episode.
That's great, Nipan. I'm delighted to be here, and thank you very much. And I wish you the best of luck with Smile Genius Dental.
Thanks, Rory. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you are, entering into the journey of starting your own clear aligner services, or setting up a manufacturing unit, or setting up a chain of clinics offering clear aligners, you need a really good quality software, which should have the case management side of things, which should have a remote monitoring side of things, and also should be white labeled. Smile Genius Dental provides you all in one software to do everything that you will need on those key areas. We provide you with the doctor's portal, which is the dentist facing portal where they can submit the cases and remote monitor the patient's progress. We provide the labs with the lab case management side of things, where they can manage the incoming requests from the doctors, but also have visibility of the operation side from the patient side as well. And then we have provided you the patient monitoring app, because it's all about compliance and engagement at the end. So Smile Genius Dental is the all-in-one platform, which is white labeled for your brand, to provide you with your consumers with that end-to-end experience, to provide more efficiency and productivity to your business without needing you to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of development time to build the software yourself. So call in to our team or book an appointment with us, and we'll be happy to walk you through what Smile Genius is all about. But until next time, stay tuned for the next really good episode of the Digital Dentistry Deep Dive podcast.